Warning. This video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all.
Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel and I'm up early today. I got to go on this massive drive to see an accountant and do a bunch of other BS. Anyway, no memes today because today is business, Camel. Today we mean business, and I know a bunch of you are going to be upset about that, but to that I simply say, this is primarily a business, right? Sometimes we got to do trader stuff. And today is one of those times we got to do trader stuff. So all the while we are long and strong, continuing to push. We'll make a bunch of memes and we'll have a good time. But from time to time, when the market speaks, it's our job to listen, right? Do you want to stay on the right side or not? Ask yourself that. Of course, I know the answer. We all know the answer. So business, Camel, today, we mean business. The first thing I wanted to point out, inflation has, what I believe, started to reveal the reality. We are starting to see colder inflation. I want to save the inflation discussion for the weekend's deep dive. But in terms of the CPI coming in colder than expected, colder than the prior month, okay, happy days. That's all I got to say about that for today. Yesterday during CPI was a very interesting observation for me, okay? In less than an hour, we went from, there's no way you're getting cold inflation data, Camel, to, told you the low is in, okay? And I said CPI loves to pump and dump, which it does. If you assume, and I often show this, okay, that we're going to go up, up, or down, down, you'd be right more often than not, okay? And for those of you that have been following my work, there's a reason I don't trade CPI, typically speaking. There's a reason that every time we come around to a CPI week, I always say, okay, what do I always say? I always say, let the dust settle, okay? By Thursday, we should have revealed the direction. Don't get chopped up. Expect games, expect volatility. And yesterday, there was a bit of chop intraday. But overall, as I often say, when the market speaks, it's our job to listen, okay? Since we didn't get that whole down, down, we just kind of got direction. Like I said, it's time to pay attention. It is time to listen when the market speaks, and it is time to make sure we understand exactly what the charts are trying to tell us. As of around 2 p.m. UK time yesterday, which was about half an hour, 40 minutes after the CPI data was released, I said, look, everything is still on the table. It's way too early to draw any conclusions, but now we've got some good closers behind us. I think it's time to start drawing conclusions. I think it's time to start looking at invalidation levels. And so that is why I want to focus on the charts today primarily. The other thing, you know me, if I'm right, I'll tell you. And if I'm wrong, I'll also tell you. We've been doing this whole 60-day cycle low expectation, this countdown for a bit of fun. But I think there's a very, very good chance that we've hit our invalidation level now. I think there's a very good chance that this whole countdown is probably not going to happen. I think the low probably is in. So congratulations to anyone that said the low is in. But I think this is a be careful what you wish for situation. For those of you that think the low is already in, for those of you that didn't want one final undercut, the problem with what you're saying is, if the low is already in for Bitcoin, that means that we've already wasted 1/4 of the daily cycle. We're already moved a quarter of the way through the 60-day cycle with almost zero price appreciation, which means if the low is already in, it massively increases the probability that we're going to get another 45 days of sideways and down. So there are two possible counts here for Bitcoin, okay? Like I said, if you're championing the low already being in, just because you want to be able to say, I told you so, well, you also have to accept that this is not an ideal situation. Not only is that not, okay, a normal and to be expected timing window, that is very early, 42 days, but it also means we are currently on day 15, okay? We've already wasted a quarter of this cycle and we've done nothing. We've done absolutely nothing. In fact, we've barely made a higher high above this local high from back here on May the 6th. So if you're one of these people that said, low's in, okay, we're going straight to the moon, told you so, well, be careful what you wish for, okay? Because if we do not get a rollover here into a new low, then that is indeed the cycle low. And like I said, 15 of 60 days is already wasted. And usually for the last, week, 2 weeks, we would get a decline into the cycle low anyway. So that tells me at least, okay, based on prior cycle experience, based on the way Bitcoin likes to behave, here was an example of when we wasted a quarter of the cycle doing nothing. And look what it led to, okay? This is what it led to. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't come out of here swinging. In fact, there's a pretty nice fractal. If I grab this thing here and then stick it over the top and stretch it to fit, it's not wholly dissimilar from that, okay? We had this kind of move, pop up, a fake out, a sweep, an early cycle low, a bull flag, and then a breakout and go. So it's entirely possible that that's what comes next. Okay, and I'm not ruling it out. And in fact, because my invalidation level was hit, because I said if this really is not the cycle low, then we definitely shouldn't trade above the prior high, which we did at 65.5. So I notified the members, we've gotten long, and do I trust the breakout? No. But what am I supposed to do, right? When the invalidation level has clearly been taken out, and that was this prior high from back here at 65.5, okay? When we clearly smashed through that, what am I supposed to say? come on here and say, oh, guys, trust me, a new cycle low has to come. No, that's dogmatic. That's married to a bias. We're not doing that. When the market speaks, it's my job to listen. The market has broken out. It's changed structure, right? We found a low, higher high, higher high. So I have to respect that. Okay, the market has spoken. It's our job to listen. I get long. Am I happy with this long? Not really. No. Am I happy with the fact that if that is the early cycle low, we've already wasted a quarter of the cycle to do nothing? No, I'm not happy with that. Okay, because if you look at the times Bitcoin does well, it usually comes swinging. Okay, out of its cycle low, it usually finds a low, comes swinging out, finds a low, comes swinging out, finds a low, comes swinging out. We have not done that this time. Now again, we certainly could. Okay, that could be coming next, but objectively speaking, okay, a quarter of the cycle's gone. You could probably take another quarter of the cycle off the end for the decline into the next cycle low, which means we've probably only got about around 1 month of upside to be expected out of this current daily cycle at the best case scenario. So that just is what it is, okay? Not much more to say about that. It's not a very clean setup, but sometimes the market doesn't give you the cleanest setup. There's a couple ways to interpret this. We could indeed call this the lowest low and therefore the cycle low on day 42, or we could trade this thing like this. Right, it's entirely possible that that's what we've got. And for a while, we did that here, okay? We came down, made an early 42 day or something, and then we counted this as a timing-based cycle low, and off we went. If it wasn't Bitcoin, I wouldn't even be entertaining that as an idea, but Bitcoin really does like to do this a lot. It's this weird nuance that Bitcoin has, and if you bought the PDF on cycles, then you know about all these nuances that seem to be unique to Bitcoin. But the reality is, despite that countdown being invalidated, despite seeing one undercut of that low show up in the next couple of days, the reality is, roughly 60 days, okay, inside the window, at day 56, which is, you know, inside the plus or minus 6 day window for Bitcoin's cycle low, we have actually gotten the reaction and a breakout. So cycles are still doing cycle things. This is why I have the trend lines as well, because if we were just waiting for an undercut of that low, as you can see, we probably aren't getting it, right? That's just the reality. We wouldn't have changed structure and printed a higher high if we were actually going to still get a rollover and an undercut. So either way, you know, we have our invalidation levels for a reason. We have a breakout. We've managed to get long. And now it's just a case of seeing what happens. Now, again, objectively speaking, we've wasted 15 days here. So if it's going to happen, it better happen now. It better happen immediately, okay? And it is really not a good sign for all of you that are saying, I told you the low's in. If we do something like this over the coming week, okay, then I hate to break it to you, but most probably that means that just like I said the exact same thing here, by the time we got here, I said, you know, this isn't a good sign. We've done nothing. We've wasted half the cycle. And then what happened? Okay, another half evolved like this. So again, if we've already wasted a quarter and then we waste another couple of weeks, on a balance of probabilities, Bitcoin will continue to waste the rest of this 60-day cycle. So just be careful what you wish for. Be aware of everything. As always, okay, I'm not married to an idea. Yes, I wanted to see an undercut. Yes, cycles told me that on a balance of probabilities, the undercut was the most likely thing. But when the market speaks, it's my job to listen. Breakout above the prior high as well. So that's a change of market structure, long and strong on Bitcoin. Am I happy with the trade? No, but that doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what I think of it. What matters is we stick to the system, we respect the invalidation levels, and we don't sit here waiting for a cycle low that probably isn't coming. For the level 3 members, I've been looking at the crypto stocks, okay? Some of them are actually setting up really, really clean. So despite this, okay, many of those positions that I know a bunch of you were messaging me yesterday saying, why aren't you pulling the trigger? Why aren't we going max long? If this is a melt up, blah, blah, blah. As always, risk has to be managed first, okay? Just because I've been calling for a blow off top, just because I've been calling for a left translated cycle, and just because this is entirely possible for Bitcoin next, okay? That doesn't mean that we should just be going all in on all the crypto stocks, okay? Because what if what I said a minute ago about this wasting the cycle when we do this, okay, for the next 60 days, which would be normal and to be expected, okay, maybe it needs to touch this second angle one final time. So maybe it would look something more like this, right? Maybe even a trap and then down, touch that red support line and then go out of the next cycle low, okay? That wouldn't be the end of the world when we zoom out. And if it does this, then you better believe those crypto stocks are going to get annihilated. So do I want to be rushing in here, getting to full exposure, betting the farm on 10 crypto stocks? No, absolutely not. As always, I want to wait for high probability, clean, quality setups. And in many of those crypto stocks, they're there, but they haven't broken out yet. I kept seeing people yesterday saying, oh, the crypto miners are flying. But when I draw my resistance lines, it's the same sort of thing as this, okay? Very few of them, I think only MicroStrategy has actually broken out. The rest of them are all sitting right underneath resistance, okay? So if you're a level 3 member, you know, look out for that. We're going to be scaling into those positions slowly but surely. But remember, you know, there's no point just getting FOMO and getting excited because Camel said we're going blow off top. You have no idea if this is coming. And we could easily do another 60 days after that, okay? And you know what else is on the table that no one wants to talk about really? and that is this, right? Touch of this red support and a breakdown. That would be bull market cancelled, right? And no one wants to talk about that. Hardly anyone. I don't really even want to talk about this, but it's definitely not impossible, right? Like, if that really is the top, that was the left translated cycle, right? And we lose this upward sloping support. Well, that's a full bull market breakdown, right? That's where the party ends. That's where Camel sells all his spot Bitcoin if we lose the second angle, right? So don't be betting the farm. Always manage the risk. Don't be feeling FOMO. There's so much time. I'll just show you Coinbase. Okay, look, not even into resistance yet. So that third position is there. The setup is really clean. But until it breaks out on a daily closing basis, then what's to say it doesn't do this? Back down to that red support, okay? So no need to feel FOMO, no rush as always. For now, started to gradually increase the exposure, which is the way to do it. So I think in summary, I feel like I've probably rambled here. You're getting the full caffeinated camel this morning. But the 4 days idea, we were close, but we're not getting it most probably. We wouldn't have made that higher high, as I said. Again, be careful what you wish for, because if that low is in, then we probably have already wasted a quarter of the cycle. But that doesn't mean we can't get bullish. It just means a quarter of the cycle's gone and we haven't really done much. And as always, when the market speaks, it's our job to listen, hence the long. And if we continue to see follow through in Bitcoin, we continue to see the stocks related to crypto breakout, then I can continue to gradually increase my exposure without taking too much risk, because that's the difference between a pro and between somebody that's just retail, that's just going to FOMO in, okay? I was also saying this to the members yesterday. Let's look at this Meltup chart, right? A lot of people, remember, this is how third angles are set, right? A lot of people missed the move off the lows. They were bearish the whole way up. Ha, told you so. Biggest bull trap I've ever seen. Double top gang. Okay, here, ha, told you so. And now we're breaking out again, okay? This is how the third and final angle is set, right? We set the first angle, massive wall of worry. We set the second angle, again, on massive doubt and double top callers. And now we're about to set the third and final angle. Now, how does that third and final angle occur? It occurs when everyone capitulates, everyone gets excited, everyone shouts new paradigm, everyone shouts no more recession, up only forever, no more cycles, print a go burr, liquidity is coming, they can never afford not to print, right? You get all these silly narratives, GameStop to the moon, meme coins, retail speculation, okay? The way this third angle is created, the literal mechanics underneath the hood are extreme greed, extreme FOMO, and here's the key part. Everyone going too big. Everyone goes too big, everyone bets their entire account on leverage, okay? And for a while it works, but that's how you get these near vertical blow off tops. And the reality is, most people missed the entire move, okay? Most people weren't on Team Camel, like trading in and out of this thing, hitting the trades the whole way up, capturing the move and some. Most people sat there and doubted the whole thing, and only now, only up here, are they now going, okay, this is for real. Time to go all in to make up for all the damage that I missed out on the way, for make up for all the losses from shorting this thing the whole way up. That's how these third and final angles are created, by bull capitulation. It's the opposite of panic selling. This is panic buying, driven by greed, max long, max leverage. And the harsh reality is, okay, 99% of people that take part in this final leg are gonna this up. They're going to ruin this, okay? They're going to blow their accounts up because they're going to use too much leverage, okay? This is the absolute reality. Most people, even though we should be about to go near vertical now, are not going to make any money doing this, because the only way you make the money is to respect the risk, is to manage the trades. So make sure you always respect the risk, because like I said, the entire way this thing unfolds is through loads of people betting their entire account on leverage. That's what drives this final leg up, okay? Extreme greed, extreme euphoria, betting the farm, and all of those people get wrecked, okay? So always respect the risk. Understand the mechanics of this thing. It's a big squeeze, okay? But you're going to need to conserve as much of your chips as possible, because if I'm right about parabolas that violate into the downside, if I'm right about this deflationary bust, okay, and you blow your account up somewhere between here and here on a violent shakeout, okay, that still holds above the third angle, well, how are you going to survive? How are you going to protect your family to the downside, right? You're not going to be able to. So just respect this. This is a business. Like I said, this is business Camel today. Yes, it's exciting. We got to blow off top, right? But don't get it twisted. Most people are going to mess this up. Most people are going to ruin their accounts. And you sit here and go, how could you possibly ruin your account on a third angle? Well, I can see it in the comments already. People are saying, Camel, why aren't you at max exposure? Why don't you max long this thing from the lows? Well, if you knew the third angle was coming, look, I don't know. We never knew, okay? Even now, this might not be the third angle, okay? This thing can roll over any day now. So I hope you can see where I'm coming from, okay? Don't mess this up just because it's a blow-off top. The blow-off tops are very, very difficult. And sometimes, okay, they give you plenty of space to get out. Sometimes they do this, and then they break down. Other times, they literally go all the way up here, and then they crash massively, and you won't be able to get out until the second angle anyway. Okay, now if you're chasing this move higher, yeah, then that means you might be getting out at a loss, even though you experienced a blow off top. So just be really, really aware of where we are. Just be really aware that just because this thing looks vertical, that does not mean most people aren't going to lose money. Most people are going to blow their accounts up. That's just entirely how the third angle works. But so far, so good, right? We seem to be setting that third and final angle. So long as we manage the trades, so long as we continue to know where invalidation occurs, then long and strong continue to push. The stock market looks fantastic, right? So not much more to say about that. It's the same deal with the Dow Jones. It's the same deal with the NASDAQ, okay? Big, strong push. It's the same deal with the Russell 2K. Gold and silver also looking bullish AF at the moment. You can see silver here thinking about making another attack on that $30 range. Get through there, and it should be firework time. For the people interested in this V&Q short, we've had a big sort of push up, just like we had the prior times. I've choked the stop up, and I'm kind of getting sick of holding this trade. So if it rolls over soon, I'll keep pushing it and move the stop to break even and then see what happens. But for now, we choke the stop up to 88.01 and we'll leave it there, right? If it gets stopped, it gets stopped. Hopefully this thing rolls over. But in a melt up, maybe this thing's about to break out. Oil, I still think is creating a trap, okay? And it kind of did that yesterday. It looked like it was going to break down, and it loves to run everyone's stops, oil. So going to continue to let this thing play out for a bit more, and then I think we'll be looking for shorts. The inflation data certainly supports this. And the last couple of things I wanted to point out, okay? Nobody wants this breakdown of the dollar more than me, okay? Nobody. And I was saying I would love to see it, but there's no way I can entertain it until we at least fail the cycle, which we did, okay? We printed a failed cycle, and I said we need to lose the upper sloping blue support, which so far we are thinking about doing, okay? So if this thing continues higher, then we just go continuation of what's been going on, right? Then we just say, well, deflationary bust, gang, still very much on the table. Dollar milkshake, that whole video I put out about the dollar running with everything else, all of that kind of makes sense. If this thing's going to break down, though, then that is the biggest fuel. That is like throwing kerosene onto a bonfire. So really, really interesting times. I don't think this makes a difference one way or the other. I think either way, we're going to get the blow off top. We're going to get a huge push in Bitcoin. But I certainly think if we do this, okay, we will get less aggressive rallies in risk than if we do this. If we break down from here, then I really, really, really think the blow off top will be violent and extreme. So it's got work to do, okay? Like I said, nobody wants it more than me, but slowly but surely it seems to be coming to fruition. And the last thing I wanted to say, and I've been saying all week, okay, is meanwhile, yields. Tell that to the bond market. Tell the inflation data is sticky to the bond market. Tell higher interest rates for longer to the bond market, right? You've been hearing me say this all week. Just in case you're new here and you don't know what I'm talking about, okay, 2-year yield in green. Whenever this thing breaks down, it leads the onset of a Fed funds rate cutting cycle. It happened every other time. 2-year yield down, onset of a cutting cycle, every other time we've ever seen it, okay? So then with that said, what have we got? Let's move the yellow squiggles out the way so we can see. What have we got here? Is this not breakdown, retest, looking for that resumption lower? Again, it could certainly have some counter trend bounces. It's got some work to do. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something more like this for a bit and then a breakdown. But ultimately, the bond market doesn't believe the inflation data. It doesn't believe rates are going to be higher for longer, just like I don't. And even the 10-year yield, okay, is joining the party now. So what else is there to say about this? Okay, that is a breakdown for sure. And if the yields are going to come off, not only does that provide fuel for risk to run, because when interest rates are lower, it incentivizes people to chase yield in things like the stocks and Bitcoin, but also this is indicative that rate cuts are coming sooner rather than later. And therefore, the stock market will likely front run the idea that rate cuts are coming, because based on historical data, when they start to cut rates, the stock market and risk tends to top within 0 to 2 months of the onset of that cutting cycle. That is why in white at the top of this melt up chart, it's been written here the whole time, do they cut rates here? Okay, do we get a blow off top? Does something break? And are they forced to cut rates much sooner than anyone seems to think is possible? At least that is what the bond market is suggesting. So far, one by one, the dominoes are aligning. I've got to shoot off. I've got to go and see my accountant, and it's going to take hours to get there and back. I'll be back tomorrow with a little bit of fun for you guys. As always, a few more memes in the intro. Of course, on Saturday, I'll be doing the weekend's deep dive, going over all the inflation data, all this stuff about rates. And I bet people are going to be a lot more open to it now, since things are starting to look a lot more obvious than they were last Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing how many people have something to say about it on Saturday. In the meantime, I hope you're doing well in life. Until next time, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.